Hi, I'm Kaylee.
And I'm Jeremiah.
And today on our podcast, our question is, how do you maintain intimacy when you are in a long distance relationship? That's a good question. So if you had asked me 5 years ago that question, I would have told you that I thought it was impossible and that long distance relationships don't work out. Years and years ago, I tried a couple different long distance relationships, and yeah, they just didn't work. And however, nowadays, things are a lot different with social media and just the internet and everything. We have FaceTime and video chatting and just all these different things that make it so much easier to still feel like you're in contact with a person. And so I feel like you could actually have a relationship with somebody who isn't right there with you and still feel like you have that connection. So obviously now I feel a little bit differently about it. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the same thing. I know that when I was younger, I had a couple long distance relationships because, I was young and stupid and I was like, hey, this will be fun. It really wasn't. It was not fun. And the biggest problem was, that wasn't the biggest problem. That was my bird talking.
Used to chirping.
Yeah. For me, the biggest problem was the constant worry from the other person.
Like, so what are you doing? Who are you doing it with? Where did you go? Kind of thing.
Like that was the most because we wouldn't be able to. Well, back then we didn't have the whole FaceTime and. We had the webcams and they were horrible. I didn't have a webcam. I had one of those like Nokia phones that you had to text, So that was the only way, that and like talking on the phone was the only way. Oh wait, no. Was it Yahoo Messenger? That's the one. That's the one we always talked on. And it was horrible. Now granted, there was times when I would take a bus and go over and see that person, but at the end of the time it was not very good. However, now with all this Facebook and
technology,
all this technology and stuff, it's just it's a lot easier for people to be in a relationship. The intimate part is the part where I don't fully think that could happen.
Right. Right, because I know when I think of intimacy, I think of touching, the actual like connection with each other. So I could see, where that would be an issue. I know for me too. Now, granted, it makes when you talk about Yahoo Messenger and stuff, it makes me feel like I'm so much older than you, and I'm not that much older than you, but it does feel like it sometimes because
you were born in the 1800s, right?
So yes, I right after I invented the internet.
She said it, not me.
The internet was really coming around, when I was a teenager in high school, and it wasn't something that everybody had, and it was, you didn't see it very many places, and this was when chat rooms were still a big deal. And so my long distance relationship was the kind of thing of, a friend bringing over, their cousin who visited in the summer who lived in like a different state, and then, you hit it off and be like, you'll be my boyfriend, and then he'd go back home and wouldn't ever see him. And I remember the big thing that was hard for me during that time, especially when you're young and you're a teenager, and is that you're meeting so many different people, and I'd meet another guy and think, oh, this guy's cute or whatever and stuff, but I had a boyfriend. I haven't seen him in 4 months, but apparently I have a boyfriend, kind of thing.
Exactly.
And now of course it's not like that because there's so much more connection. The intimacy thing, I do think is hard just because of the fact that when I think of intimacy, I think of touching and kissing and just having that, connection of actually being able to feel the other person. And as great as it is to have things like screens and FaceTime and things like that, you still can't touch them.
Yeah.
So you automatically not being able to touch somebody makes you lose that, aspect of having some kind of intimacy. However, I guess maybe it kind of depends on each person and what you think intimacy is, for you. I mean, if you're fine with just making, with sweet talk and, seeing each other, over like a camera and stuff, I think that's kind of depends also, on what your level of intimacy is. I guess if that's the way you're going to go and there is no option, but you two are apart and you're still trying to remain intimate, then I would say that, you definitely need to make sure that you're, finding little ways to surprise each other. I mean, you can buy something on Amazon and send it, and stuff,
right.
send flowers through, all sorts of different things to still be able to have that, have coffee delivered, whatever. I would say really maintain that thing of knowing what each other likes, those little, special things and stuff. Like if it was you, and I know your coffee addiction, if I couldn't be with you, my first thought was, well, I need a gallon of, coffee sent to you. And so I would order that. Actually, I'd probably order you a bucket of coffee and just have you make it yourself.
I gave up one addiction. I'm not giving up another.
That addiction was, illegal. Yeah. No.
Was not. I was smoking. I was a smoker. I quit 2 years. Wow, 2 years?
Yeah.
It'll be 2 years this year, yeah.
And now that you quit smoking like a chimney, now you drink coffee like it's going out of style. But whatever works.
You know what? If I don't have my coffee, things happen.
I know.
Okay. And all you guys out there understand what I'm talking about. Coffee is a lifesaver.
So I guess if that, knowing you, if we couldn't be together and actually physically be together, I would think little things like that to remind you, that I do love you and how much I miss you and how much I care and all that would be, things like that, having coffee delivered or, sending you like little notes or whatever and stuff, little videos,
stuff you just repeated like 3 times, yeah.
That's probably, advice-wise, probably the best that I would say. I still think that, long-distance relationships are hard just because you're kind of missing out on those.
They're a lot harder than any other relationship in the world.
Yeah, I would have to say I agree with that. There's little things that, you get by being with each other, such as, even if it's not necessarily living together or whatever, but, just being with each other and, you catch each other, bad times and you get to really know a person versus over, a video or a camera or something, you can kind of show your best side. Mm-hmm. I kind of think that, like, when you and I first got together, it was that thing of, I could take 17,000 pictures of myself and send you the one I thought looked good kind of thing. And, the same thing if I did a video and I didn't sound right or I looked stupid or, I fell over or something and I could delete that and do it again, kind of thing. I feel like, that's not the real me now that we're together all the time. You see me when I do my stupid things like fall down or whatever kind of thing. So I feel like
or you end up taking your clothes off in random places.
Yeah. I also get to see the crazy things that you do. So I think that having that. You kind of lose that aspect when you're so far away from each other. However, sometimes that's just, you can't help who you fall in love with and you can't help where they are.
As long as they make you happy.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's not an option to be together all the time. So,
but at the same time, you should at least try to attempt to go see that person too.
Right.
Like that, like, you can't be apart forever and then decide to get married and then stay apart. Like, it doesn't work that way. Of course, if you don't want to get married, that's your choice, but...
That's like a new reality TV show and stuff, It's going to be like, we've never met, we've never touched, but we're getting married.
Oh. Wow. No, I think there's already what was it Married at First Sight?
Yes, but they actually
see each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long distance relationships, to me, they don't last very long. However, it also depends on the two people. If they're both that committed to want to try to get together in person, then
Right. Well, and I think maybe sometimes it's not even necessarily the getting, because I think we're kind of looking at this in the aspect of like these people haven't met and they're just getting together and they're doing it online or something. Right. I feel like kind of the direction we're going, but sometimes it's not that. I mean, look at couples who were married and then, if the husband's in the military and he gets deployed or something and they don't have the option to be together. They're already in love, they're already connected, but they still
that's a little different.
Yeah. I think maybe there's that kind of that question too of like, how do they remain intimate when they can't really be intimate together.
I can't say anything about our men and women overseas. Like that's like dedication, like for the families back home, you know, to stay with them and stuff through all that stuff. I don't know anything about that stuff, but as a civilian, I you know, that's that long distance relationship. That's a lot harder to stay together, you know, and keep everything going.
Right.
You know.
I guess my thought would be is that if you're in this situation where everything's, yes, you know, you're away from each other and stuff and you're looking to do something intimate, there were many times in the beginning of our relationship where we were together but we weren't, you know, living together, we weren't married or anything like that, and we're both from, you know, we both married before, we had kids, and so now we have one big blended family. But when we first were together, there was that situation where he was with his kids and I was with my kids, and it wasn't always an option to be together. And we would, you know, I remember send each other little, like, you know, sexy texts, you know, little sexy videos, things like that, you know, to, you know, kind of remain keeping that, you know, communication and that intimacy, I guess, still going. So I mean, I would say as advice, that would be things I would suggest, you know, make little online dates and stuff, so that way it's not just sending a picture or video and stuff. You're actually, you know, FaceTiming and being able to do that and having those, you know, actual like face-to-face conversations with each other. So I would say that would probably be my advice with that.
I have to adjust that. It was getting very far away from me. I don't know what happened there.
For people who are listening and not watching, the adjusting was the microphone.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Since we're talking about intimacy and all.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I think if you set a time and, like, you know, you could do dinners together, unless they live in different time zones, then obviously that's going to be a little hard. Like, you know.
If he is in Japan and you're here.
Yeah.
Yes, this could be an issue.
Yeah. But, like, you know, even like going, like, video, like, you know, being on video and, like, you know, drinking coffee together or something, you know, something like that.
Right. You know, and you know, you made an exception for it if you're making a date and stuff. And even if there is, like, let's say a 3-hour difference, you know, well, one night, you know, he can eat late and you eat early, you know, kind of thing or something. You know, I mean, it's definitely things that can be done there. I would have to say I will give a little bit more advice. So bordering, like, don't go too far with this. It reminds me of that episode of How I Met Your Mother with the whole marshmallow thing where she makes the whole pillow thing with the iPad on it. You know,
please don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't go that
far. Because it may seem like all sweet and everything, but, like, that's kind of like...
That's a little nutty.
That's what do you call it? We just watched it, like on Wayne's World, the first one, when my phone is moving.
Yeah. Anyways, finish your thought.
I have to go adjust this real quick. You keep talking.
Keep talking.
Oh, I don't exactly know what happened there.
It just got a little too heavy.
Okay. Everything's falling. Microphones are falling. Phones are falling. Yeah.
So you were saying Wayne's World.
Yes. Remember when they were, and if anybody's seen this, you know what I'm talking about, but when they're, I think it's at the beginning when they're in the little coffee shop, the little diner, and then that crazy woman comes up to Wayne, and he's like, oh, we broke up like 4 months ago.
Oh, right.
You know, and she's like, I love you so much, like, don't go there, like.
Don't go crazy, yeah.
Where, you know, you hear the horror music in the background, yeah.
Yeah.
Because then we as men will run, and it'll be the same thing for women too. Like if guys start getting like that, women will run too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you show up at my doorstep with a big old pillow that looks like me, I'm gonna freak out a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, now there's the technology's got a little farther, getting
The
those
crazy dolls.
those what are they? The robots. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So yeah. So
That's how Terminator happened. Like they tried to think of that, and then they didn't get everything right, and they screwed up, and then Terminator happened. Yeah. See.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yes, obviously you can still have intimacy during a long distance relationship. Just maybe really think about how long you're going to be apart and what you want, I guess, overall in the relationship. If is this long distance relationship going to be something that will be forever long distance? Because if it is, then there's that question of, is this really worth it? I think, you kind of move into that question, if you live in one place and he lives in another and there's no option of you guys ever being able to live in the same place, then you're kind of, I think, going down a road that you shouldn't be going down because you're never going to be together. And so, however, that's a completely different question. So, yes, I do think that, you can have intimacy and still, be long distance and everything. Just, work at it. You just got to work a little extra hard to make that relationship work.
Yeah. And I'll say this right now. If you have any questions or anything, comment on this video and one of us will try to answer that question.
Exactly. And if you have a question you would like us to cover, please send us a message. Check us out at KayleeShadows.com. And every social media that you possibly think of, we're on there. So go ahead and find us there. Thanks.
Bye.